Hey everybody. One of the things we have at VCF Southwest is the PicoBoy. It's a handheld game console similar to the Game Boy. It's based off the Raspberry Pi Pico. It's by Vince Briel Computers, and I've got an early release of it to do a build video. Go ahead and get everything opened up and looked at. Get my laptop back here with the instructions opened, and Windows trying to do an update on my laptop. So it comes with everything you need to play except for some games. So it'll use any of the .gb files for this. It's got the nice case and everything, so let's open this up. We've got the case front. We've got the speaker, and that's a waterproof speaker. Got the circuit board, and it's slightly thinner than what your standard circuit board would be through JLC PCB, so that it's not too thick for the case to close. Got a front panel, the plastic cover for the display adapter, 3D printed. And the case itself is actually molded. It's not 3D printed. It's really nice. And then we have a battery, a rechargeable one that's in here. So we'll take that out, set it off to the side. And then we have what it's based off of, which is the Raspberry Pi Pico. There's the cable for the front circuit board, the audio amplifier, the buttons and the screws, the power switch, cable connector, battery connector, and the Pico. Then here we have the display. All right, there we go. Let's get started. Alright, so we're going to orient this. Now the thickness in here is such that we want to make sure we minimize how much thickness we have. So we're going to basically solder this surface mount style. Now the Raspberry Pi Pico has these castellated board edges where it's just a kind of a half circle, and it's plated down in there. So we're going to solder those directly to the board. My soldering iron here, I'll auto-magically heat it up. Now we gotta get this soldered in. It's about as even as we can get it. And really, well, I'm so picky about it being even, you don't have to be. There we go. Solder the corners down. Not as even as I like. So slide this over a little bit. Keep this up, slide this over a little bit. There we go. Alright, now we get to solder all of them in. They're well lined up on these pads, it seems. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Now we get the Pico in, and it's oriented with the USB pointing to the left of the circuit board when we have it upright. Next step is, let's get the audio amp connected to the speaker. Plastic bags don't come free. I've got a plus and a minus here. Hook the speaker up to where it's the plus goes to the red. You can shorten up the speaker wires if you want to. Okay, there we are. You can shorten up the speaker wires if you want to. Okay. There we are. The amp soldered in. And we want this to be as flush to the circuit board as possible, so I'm going to trim these as close as we can to the circuit board. And now that fits really nice and close to the circuit board. Let's flip this over, and for the fun part, holding this in place while we solder a pin in to get it anchored. Okay. There we go, now we got it nice and tight to the circuit board and can solder the rest of them. Alright, good. And all pins are through. Okay. Now I've got to make sure that this is oriented the way that it shows here, where you get the little notch. There's a little notch on the connector so that you have it in there correctly and you don't plug the battery in backwards. you'll notice, this goes on this side. Okay. There we go. Get that soldered in as flat as we can. Okay, that is the end of the soldering, I believe. Look through here. Yep, now we get to assemble the case. Alright, let's see. It seems I am missing a piece. Looks like I get to put this on hold while we contact Vince to get the SD card interface. And through the power of editing, we have the missing part. And the other screw. Okay. Vince was kind enough to stop by the house and drop this off with instructions. This should just lever it up and slide into place. Now this little circuit board will be installed on the kit you receive. Vince said, I built 100 kits and I had one board left over and wasn't sure where it went and why I had one board left over. I said, I know why. We both had a good laugh. Now, Okay, I'm gonna have to trim these links down just a bit to have enough clearance. There we go. All right. And there we are. Then we can continue on with the build. Which will hopefully turn the laptop back on. Now we get to put these parts all together. Okay, so this has got a little nub on it. There's a little hole in the plastic for that to slide into, or a little slot, I should say. And this will go on. Speaker tucked in. All right, there we go. Almost forgot. One fairly critical piece. It's the cover for the display, but before you put that on, take the protective cover off the LCD. There we go. And there we are. While I was waiting, I powered down the laptop. Alright, and the cable only goes So take a look and see which way the metal contacts are sitting in there. That one just wants to be stubborn. The flat jawed pliers made shorter work of that. And then over here, I think this is going to be the hardest part of the build. Now if you don't have this in properly, then what you'll end up with is it just won't power up, because this carries your battery and also your SD card info. A little flag goes up on the power switch. Okay. Now this just uses a standard Phillips, micro Phillips. There's no Y screwdriver needed for this. And this is just a standard custom molded case that you can get as a replacement case for a Game Boy. And I should have said, when opening up the screws, two of these things are not like the others. So basically what I'm saying there is you have two screws that are silver and the rest were gold, and the two silver ones are the two that hold the logic board in place. Alright, let's put the cover on. At this point, we power it up. And remember that we need to put the battery in. Battery only goes in one way in the connector. So if you soldered it in properly, then all we need to do is tuck the wires in. If we did everything right, you'll have the red line across the top. And we can use any little SD card with some .gb files on it. Oh, there we are. Went out to one of the homebrew sites and downloaded Okay, there we go. Hey, and there we are. Whew, looks like I got a bullet hell shmup here. And have already kicked the bucket. Well, that's it. The PicoBoy is very simple to build. Very minimum amount of tools. And a very little amount of time. Thanks, Vince. That was a nice kit.